I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to sit here and spill my guts on Reddit, but honestly, I'm at a point where I don't see any other way out. My name's Mark, and I was supposed to get married in 2 weeks. Everything was perfect, at least, that's what I thought. I had my girl, Lisa, the woman I'd loved for 5 years, and we had this shiny wedding planned. It was all I ever wanted, until I stumbled across something I wasn't meant to see. It started with a little gut feeling, the kind that gnaws at you without reason. I've been noticing Lisa acting weird in the last few days, late texts, sneaking around her phone like she was hiding something. She'd deny everything, laugh it off when I'd ask, but I could see her eyes flickering with guilt. Still, I shrugged it off. Maybe it was just pre-wedding jitters. I was stupid for ignoring the signs, I guess. Then yesterday, I decided to check her phone. I wasn't planning to invade her privacy, but I'd caught her lying so many times that I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed her phone when she was in the shower. I was just going to look at a message or two, nothing serious, but what I found made my stomach turn. Her texts with Tommy, the best man, my best friend, were explicit, not just flirty, not innocent jokes. No, they were downright filthy. She was cheating on me with my best friend. My palms went slick, my heart hammered in my chest. I read her words, the way she described what they did just to feel alive, how she couldn't wait to see him again. My mind spun. How long had this been going on? How many times? And the worst part, she'd swore she loved me, that she'd never do anything to ruin what we had. And here I was, holding her betrayal in my hands like a dagger. My knees weaken, my head buzzes. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. The room felt too small, walls pressing in, my vision blurry with rage and heartbreak. I didn't want to believe it. How could she do this? How could she cheat on me with someone I trusted? With Tommy? I stood there, clutching her phone, feeling the weight of everything crashing down. The taste of bile rose in my throat. I wanted to scream, to yell, anything to shake off this nightmare. But all I could do was stare at the screen, reading the words I'd never thought she'd write to someone else. My mind kept replaying their messages, the way she described it, like a secret escape. That's when I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just let this slide. Not after all the plans we made, not after the years I invested. I needed a plan, a way to make her see what she'd lost, to hurt her the way she'd hurt me. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that betrayal like this doesn't go unpunished. It leaves a scar, and I'm going to make sure she feels every inch of it. But I also knew I couldn't blow up everything in the heat. I had to be smart. I had to set a trap, something that would make her regret ever crossing that line. The question was, how? I had no doubt she'd try to brush this off or lie her way out of it. So I started thinking about what I could use against her, something tangible, something she couldn't deny. There's more to come, but I'm honestly still reeling. Every time I think about her, I get this cold sweat, this sick feeling. How do you come back from this? How do you even look her in the eye without wanting to strangle her? I don't have all the answers yet, but I do know one thing. She's not walking away from this clean, and I'm going to make her regret ever crossing me. The more I thought about it, the clearer my plan started to form. I knew I couldn't confront her now, at least not outright. If I did, she'd deny everything, spin a web of lies, and I'd be back at square one, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut all over again. No, this needed to be calculated, cold, precise. First, I had to confirm my suspicions, make sure there was no mistake, no misinterpretation. I logged into her email account, looked through her recent messages, her social media. Nothing. But that wasn't enough. I needed proof, something that would make her admit the truth, something irrefutable. I remembered her texting her friend, Sarah, about last Saturday night. She said she was out with her sister, but the timestamp was off. I pulled her phone records and saw she was still messaging Tommy well past midnight. Perfect. That, combined with the texts I'd found, painted a clear picture. She'd been lying about her whereabouts, covering her tracks. She'd been sneaking and lying, just like I'd feared. Now I had what I needed, concrete evidence. But I didn't want to just confront her. No, I wanted her to feel like she was caught red-handed. I wanted her to know I knew everything. That's when I remembered a little trick I'd read about, a kind of sting operation. I could set up a fake scenario where she'd think she was caught in an even bigger lie. Maybe I'd leave her a note, or better yet, I'd plant something that could be discovered in a way that would blow her world apart. I bought a cheap hidden camera online, small enough to hide in her purse or somewhere she'd definitely go. Then I planned to record her reactions when she found out I knew. I wanted her to see that I wasn't just mad, I was furious. I wanted her to understand that her betrayal wasn't just a mistake, it was a breach so deep it couldn't be fixed with an apology or tears. The next step was to create a situation that would push her to slip up. I started talking to a few friends I could trust just to get their opinions. Everyone's advice boiled down to the same thing: don't give her the satisfaction of denying anymore. Show her you're serious. Make her see the damage she did, that she's not getting away with this. And then I devised my big move. I decided to leave her a fake love note, something that would make her think I knew everything, but I'd actually be setting her up for her own downfall. I drafted the note carefully. I know what you did. I know about Tommy. If you try to lie or deny, you'll only make it worse. I placed it somewhere I knew she'd find it, like her pillow or her makeup bag. The anticipation was terrible. My stomach churned every time I imagined her discovering it. Would she freak out? Would she try to cover her tracks? Or would she finally admit the truth? I didn't know yet, but I was ready for whatever came next. I also started planning my confrontation, not the Russian blowing up kind, something calculated, something that would leave her with no room to deny. I wanted her to realize I'd been watching, waiting all along, and that she couldn't escape the consequences. I kept telling myself, this isn't about rage, it's about justice. If she's going to destroy us, I'll make sure she pays. I just hope she understands that once the game begins, there's no stopping it. The countdown has started. All I need now is for her to find that fake note and start unraveling. That's when everything begins to change. I set everything in motion the night I placed the fake note. I kept my phone on silent, heart pounding like a bass drum in my chest. Every minute felt like an hour. I kept replaying the moment I slipped that note into her makeup bag, imagining her reaction. Would she panic? Would she get defensive? Or would she finally come clean? I didn't trust her to do the right thing, but I knew deep down this was the moment I had been waiting for. The house was silent except for the muffled sounds of traffic outside. I sat in my chair, leaning forward, eyes glued to my phone. Waiting, my palms were sweaty and I could feel the itchy sensation behind my ears, a sign that I was nervous but also furious. I told myself, stay calm, play it cool, let her come to you. But inside I was anything but calm. Every second felt like a countdown ticking towards disaster. At exactly 10:47 p.m. I heard her footsteps coming down the hall. My stomach clenched. Her silhouette appeared in the doorway, clutching the small purse I'd carefully hidden it in. Her face was pale, eyes darting like she'd seen a ghost. She looked at her bag, then at me, as if she knew what was coming. I kept my face neutral, even though inside I was boiling with rage. She hesitated for a second, then reached into her purse. Her fingers trembled a little and I saw her eyes flicker with uncertainty. I forced myself to stay quiet, to let her find it on her own. Then her hand froze and her eyes widened as she pulled the note out. "What's this?" she asked, her voice cracking. Her voice sounded strange, almost distant. I saw her eyes scan the words and I could tell she was trying to deny or justify, but she knew. She knew she'd been caught. I finally spoke, voice steady but cold. "You've been lying to me for months, Lisa. I saw your texts, the ones with Tommy. I know everything." Her face crumpled. She looked like she'd been punched in the gut. I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered, tears pooling in her eyes. "It was a mistake, just one time, I swear." I shook my head slowly. "A mistake? Do you even hear yourself? You've been sneaking around, lying to my face, and now you want to tell me it was just a one-time thing." My voice cracked a little, but I pushed through. "You thought you could get away with it. And Tommy, my best friend." She swallowed hard. "I was feeling lost. I didn't know how to tell you I was unhappy. I thought I was doing it in secret, but I see now how wrong I was." Her voice was almost pleading. I could see her trembling, but that didn't make her innocent. It just made her pathetic. I stepped closer, feeling the muscles in my jaw tighten. "You know what you did. You crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. And Tommy, forget him, that's over, but you're not walking away from this without consequences." She looked at me, eyes wide and tears streaming down her face. "Please don't do anything drastic. I love you. I made a stupid, terrible mistake. I'll do anything to fix this." I scoffed, turning away. Fix it. You think a sorry is enough. You're damn right I'll do something. You don't get to just apologize and move on. That's not how this works. The house suddenly felt too small, too suffocating. My skin prickled with anger and betrayal. Every fiber of my being screamed to end this, to make her feel just a fraction of what I felt. But I forced myself to stay calm, for now at least. I told her to leave the room. She hesitated, but finally she nodded and walked out, sobbing softly. I sat back down, trembling, trying to process what just happened. The fake note had done its job. She was caught. Now I had to figure out what came next. The plan was clear now. If she thought she was caught, she'd try to lie her way out. But I had everything I needed to turn the tables completely. I'd made her believe she was safe, that I wasn't aware of her lies. Now I was revealing the truth, and I'd make sure she paid every penny of her lies. What still haunted me was the image of her face, the betrayal, the guilt. I knew she'd try to deny or escape, but I was ready. The time for guessing was over. The moment of reckoning was here, and I would make sure she remembered it forever. After she left the room, I sat there with the fake note clenched in my hand, feeling the weight of what I'd just done. I knew I had her now, but I also knew this was only the beginning. I had to keep my head clear, keep the plan going. The next step was to create a sense of inevitability, make her believe that no matter what, she was caught, exposed, and there was no way out. I grabbed my phone and started recording. I wanted to capture her reaction, her voice, everything. If she slipped up again, I'd have undeniable proof. I hit record just as she re-entered the room, her eyes red and swollen, and she looked around like she was searching for something. When she saw me with the phone, her shoulders sagged. "Why are you recording?" she asked, voice trembling. "Because I want proof," I said flatly. "Proof of what you've done, so there's no denying it later." I kept the camera steady, watching her squirm under my gaze. She hesitated, then looked away. "You're just trying to punish me," she whispered. "You're blowing this out of proportion." I shook my head slowly. "No, I'm finally seeing the truth, and I want her to know I'm watching." Her lips quivered. "Please don't do this. You're making a mistake." "Making a mistake," I repeated, voice rising. "You're the one who cheated. You think this is a mistake. You lied to my face, to my family, to everyone, and now you want me to just forget." She sat down on the bed, clutching her head. "I was stupid. I thought I could fix it. I never wanted to hurt you." I took a step closer, feeling the surge of anger. "Hurt me? Lisa, you're the reason I can't sleep at night. I trusted you. I loved you. And you threw it all away for a few nights with Tommy. Did you even think about me, about us?" Her voice broke. "I loved you. I do love you. I swear. I don't want to lose you. Please just give me a chance to explain." I looked at her, the betrayal burning in my chest. I knew she was lying. This wasn't about love. It was about her greed, her stupidity, and her selfishness. I had to decide what to do next, but I already knew that the only way forward was to make her see she'd lost everything, that she couldn't just come back from this easy. I told her to pack her bags. I was done playing nice. "You're leaving tonight. Not just for a few hours. I want you gone for good. I want you to understand what you threw away. And I'll be watching. You try any more games, and I'll make sure the world knows exactly what you did." Her eyes widened and she tried to argue, but I cut her off. "No more talk, just pack your things. I don't want to see you here again." My voice was firm, unwavering. I wanted her to understand this wasn't just a breakup, it was her downfall. I went into the closet, grabbed the keys to her car, and handed them to her. "Here, take your stuff and don't bother trying to call me. I'll be done with this chapter of my life." I'd never felt so detached, like I was watching a stranger walk out of my house. As she left, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I had done what I needed to do, expose her, end it cleanly, and move on. But the pain lingered. It always would. Betrayal like this doesn't fade overnight. Still, I knew one thing for sure. I wouldn't let her manipulate or lie her way back into my life. Not anymore. I handed over her keys and watched her drive away, the engine roaring like a final judgment. I knew this was just the beginning, but for now I had taken control. And that's what mattered. The house felt eerily quiet after she left. Empty. I sat on the couch, staring at the door where she'd just walked out for good. My chest was tight, like I'd been squeezing a fist for hours and finally released it. The adrenaline was fading, replaced by a hollow, heavy feeling I couldn't quite shake. This wasn't how I pictured things. Hell, I never imagined I'd be in this position. Yet here I was, finally free from the chaos she brought into my life. I knew I needed to do one more thing, something that would really seal her fate and make sure she understood the magnitude of what she'd thrown away. I was tired of playing the victim. It was time to go full force, to show her I wasn't just some guy who got cheated on. No, I was the guy who would make her regret every second she betrayed me. I decided to go on the offensive. I logged into her social media accounts, nothing malicious, just enough to get the dirt. I knew her passwords. She'd been careless enough to leave some hints. I scrolled through her messages, her photos, and some of her recent interactions. It was there clear as day, her flirting with Tommy, the secret meetups, the fake smiles. She thought she was smarter than everyone, but I saw everything in black and white. Then, I found something. A message from her to a coworker, a late-night text she forgot to delete. She'd mentioned feeling guilty, but also angry at how she'd been feeling trapped. That was the final nail. It proved she'd been unhappy and that she'd gone looking for validation elsewhere. She'd been hiding her feelings, lying right in my face. I printed out the conversation, kept a screenshot, and filed it away. This was proof I'd use if I needed to devastate her later. I also made a plan to deliver a final message, one that would make her understand she'd lost more than she thought. I wanted her to see that I was serious, that her betrayal had consequences. I drafted a simple, direct email attaching the proof I'd found and sent it to her work address. No words of anger, no threats, just cold, hard facts and a reminder that the truth was out. In the end, I wanted her to feel exposed, vulnerable, and regretful. I wanted her to see that her lies had consequences, that she couldn't hide behind her tears anymore. That email, I knew, would be the start of her downfall, and I was done hiding my feelings. As I sat there, I realized I was exhausted physically and emotionally. My hands trembled slightly, but I felt a strange sense of relief too. It was over. I'd finally taken control, and I'd done it my way. Now the only thing left was to wait for her to respond, to realize what she'd lost, and for me to start rebuilding what I thought was lost forever. I rolled the last cigarette of the night between my fingers, looking out at the dark sky. I wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring, but I knew one thing: I wouldn't be the same after this. No one betrays you like that and walks away unscathed. She made her choice. Now I had to decide what to do next, whether to let go or to hold on to the anger that still burned inside me. Either way, I'd take one day at a time, and I'd make sure she remembered that I was no fool, just someone who had finally seen enough. The next morning, I woke up feeling strangely lighter, like a weight had been lifted off my chest. The house was still silent, everything exactly as I had left it. I knew I'd done what I needed to do, confronted her, exposed her, and ended what was never real to begin with. Her departure wasn't just about ending a relationship, it was about reclaiming my dignity, my sanity. For the first time in days, I felt some sense of control. I got up, made myself a strong coffee, and sat down at the kitchen table. My phone buzzed, an email. I hesitated, then opened it. It was from her. I expected denial, excuses, maybe tears. Instead, her words hit me like a punch to the gut. "I'm sorry, I never wanted to hurt you. I was stupid and I panicked. I love you and I want to fix this. Please, let's talk." The words were hollow, empty. I looked at the screen and felt nothing but cold. She was trying to spin her way out of it, probably hoping I'd forgive her, forget everything. But I knew better. That's not how betrayal works. You don't just say sorry and erase years of trust with a few words on a screen. I closed the email, took a deep breath, and stood up. I grabbed the stack of printed proof I'd saved from her messages, the screenshots that sealed her fate. I knew I wouldn't be sending any more apologies her way. I wasn't interested in her regrets or her tears. She'd already lost me the moment she crossed that line. Instead, I went to the drawer, pulled out the keys I'd handed her yesterday, and placed them on the table. Carefully, I picked up the papers I'd printed, folded them neatly, and set them beside the keys. I knew what I had to do now, what I'd been planning all along. With a firm, steady hand, I took the keys, walked to the front door, and opened it. As I stepped outside into the fresh morning air, I looked back one last time at the empty house. No more lies, no more betrayal, just a clean slate. I closed the door behind me, took a deep breath, and let the door click shut. This chapter of my life was over. I was done with the pain, the betrayal. I'd start anew, rebuild what I needed to, and learn to trust again on my own terms. As I watched my ex-wife drive away, I felt a strange sense of relief. Not victory, not hatred, but a quiet awareness that I had finally taken control of my life again. And that sometimes, that's the best revenge of all. The takeaway: trust is fragile and betrayal cuts deep. But ultimately, reclaiming your strength and walking away on your own terms is the most powerful act of revenge you can give.